Hey guys, so we have the data mined announcement for Legends Information Volume 2 for Legends Fest. So as you can see, this actually will not be going live in game until approximately 24 hours after this video goes up. And the only reason why we have advanced knowledge on this is just because this was put into the data. And so this website that Hydros runs was able to pull the news information before it went live in game. So that's usually how we see these things ahead of time. But we know now that, not shockingly, not surprisingly, that this will be debuting on Tuesday the 9th, and the 10th is when the actual banners will be dropping, which is perfectly in line with what we were expecting. So nothing crazy here. So let's just go ahead and read through this. I don't expect anything kind of revolutionary in here. Legends Information Special Edition Legends Festival 2025 Volume 2 is coming. The premiere will be jam-packed with the latest info on the ongoing Legends Festival 2025, including new character info, upcoming event details, and more. We're even planning on releasing a promotion code for Chrono Crystals again, this time at the end of the premiere. Okay, yeah, so this nothing really new or different about this. I had slight... I don't even want to call them expectations, but I was thinking there might have been a slight chance that there could have been a hint in here. Last year, when they gave us the Legends Info announcement initially for Part 2, it did have a hint for Daima on it. It had the 3-star Daima Dragon Ball on it, and then they did a countdown leading up until the release of the characters. So I don't think we're probably going to see a hint this time. If we think back to the beginning of this celebration, Part 1, they actually did not do any hints. And the last 3 Legends Fests, so 2022, 2023, and 2024. 2022 Part 1 was GT. They gave us that like blue circle into red circle hint, which was supposed to be a hint for the GT Android 17 character, which was the 1% sparking on the Tag Force banner. 2023, we had that red disco ball, that red disco ball hint, which was a hint for the 1% sparking Golden Frieza from the Throne of Power. And then 2024, we had the dog food hint, which of course was the hint for the 1% sparking Mai on the Vegito Blue banner. This year, we did not have a hint before Part 1 dropped. So it kind of looks like they might be shying away from dropping hints. Maybe they just thought it was going to be too obvious if they dropped something. But no, I don't think we're probably going to see a hint here for Part 2. So we have a few days, and we definitely have had some interesting developments kind of leading up to Part 2 here. Notably, we have the Platinum equipment for Ultra UI Sign Goku and the free-to-play Jiren. So it does seem like there is some sort of universe rep / Tournament of Power theme, sub-theme going on, even though Part 1 is supposed to be based on movies. And obviously both Part 1 banners are based on movies, but specifically Fusion Reborn. But yeah, it does kind of seem like the universe rep tag might be what we're looking at in terms of the theme for Part 2 if we want to base that off of what we've been getting recently, right? Because the Jiren free-to-play character doesn't correlate with anything outside of the summon animation, and now obviously the Platinum equipment for UI Sign Goku, so it was a little strange they decided to drop him, but if they're going to tie him in to the Part 2 characters, then it makes sense. Something else to mention as well that I haven't seen anybody talk about is they decided to not drop a free character this week that we just had. That goes against pretty much a very established pattern that we've seen for most Part 2s of celebrations, major celebrations. There's always a free-to-play character for Part 2, right? Anniversary Part 2, it was after the release of the characters, but we did have that free-to-play Saiyan Saga Gohan, who tied into the Saiyan Saga characters for Part 2. Last year for Legends Fest Part 2, we had the free-to-play Buu Saga Vegeta, the UR number 1 Vegeta, who dropped, and then that obviously was a hint towards the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And then we had a hint directly from the devs about Part 2 having some correlation with Daima. So the free characters kind of being correlated and always having some kind of foreshadowing aspect to them regarding the Part 2 characters. That not being present here almost makes me think even more so that this free-to-play Jiren is supposed to be something that's related to Part 2. So that is something that's been in the back of my mind for a little bit here, but I'm going to give a few, I guess, rough predictions as to what we could potentially see. Now, if we think about how they have recently been handling parts 1 and 2 of Major Celebrations, it really does seem like they are almost pretty set in stone with going with pairings that make sense. Instead of doing something like they did in the 6th anniversary part 2, let's just pull that out of the air as an example. It was Ultimate Gohan from the Buu Saga and God Goku, right? Clearly not much of a correlation between the two, besides the fact that they're both Sun Family units. It's just two exciting characters just put together. Last year, Legends Fest Part 2, we had Super Saiyan Daima Goku and Transforming Buu Saga Goku. So besides them both being Gokus, they really didn't have anything to correlate with each other in terms of a thematic sort of approach, right? But recently, we take a look at the 7th anniversary, Part 1, were two characters from the Tournament of Power, UI Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta, who obviously are supposed to pair up with each other. Part 2, we had Saiyan Saga, Goku and Vegeta, who obviously faced off against each other. Last Legends Fest Part 1, we had Vegito Blue and Goku Black. Obviously, they never fought each other, but, it's supposed to be some sort of thematic future showdown sort of thing there. And then Part 1 of this celebration, we had Super Gogeta versus Super Janemba. So, two characters that are opponents that are facing off against each other seems to be a pretty recurring theme in terms of Part 1 and 2s of these celebrations. And you could even look at Part 3 of the anniversary, and they did that with the two Ultra characters as well. So it seems like that's a pattern that they have gone back to repeatedly throughout the course of recent history in this game. So I think it's pretty safe to assume that they probably will follow the same pattern for Part 2 of the celebration. I don't expect it's going to be something like, I don't know, let's just pull something out of thin air. Golden Frieza and Hiruda Garn. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be I don't know. It's probably not going to be Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and, I don't know, random character, Full Power Jiren, right? I don't think it's going to be something like that, where it's two characters that don't really correlate with each other. I think it's probably most likely going to be two characters that come from the same arc, fought against each other, fought with each other, probably some sort of, big, strong relation between those two units. So I would expect that to happen, but it's also possible they just don't do that, right? Again, we see this very, very often with this game is, for example, the Platinum Equipment situation. They were going in order with Super Gogeta, they were going in order with Super Vegito, and then we were expecting, okay, the next character to get one is going to be Gogeta Blue. Well, it was actually UI Goku. So they set an expectation, and then intentionally they break that expectation to throw people off. So it's possible that they might do that with this, but until it happens, I'm going to anticipate that they keep going with the pattern. And then something else I just want to mention as well, I probably don't anticipate Part 2 to be focused on movies, just because movies was heavily focused around in Part 1, and also we've had characters that have dropped for movies outside of Festival, right? Like 13, who's insane, and characters like the Gammas with their unique equip. So I think movies is probably in a good enough spot right now to where they don't really need too much more help as of right now. So I don't think 2 parts in a row we're going to be looking at a movies situation here. So that takes us to, I'm going to actually have 5 matchups here. And I think I will probably rank these in order of likelihood. So the first one we'll talk about will probably be most likely, and then we'll kind of drop the likelihood as we go through this list here. But the first one, which I think has been a pretty popular pick that I've seen a lot of people mentioning on social media and talking about, and it actually is something that we haven't seen revisited in this game since 2019. 2019 was the last time we saw this. And this is going to be related to what I talked about earlier, in the fact that it does appear Universe Reps is a sub-theme of Part 1, or potentially a main theme going into Part 2, based off of the free-to-play Jiren and then Platinum Equipment for UI Goku. And it's going to be the Universe 6 versus 7 Blue Kaioken Goku versus Hit matchup. So it's actually these characters. I think this was one, yeah, it was, I don't know if it was actually the first banner after the anniversary. I think it was one of the first banners after the first anniversary. So the first anniversary happened. I think the way it worked is it was first anniversary, then it was like they spammed, for whatever reason, they spammed a bunch of Android 13 movie banners it was the blue transforming Vegeta, 14 and 15 all on one banner. That was an Ultra Space Time banner. Then we had a Legends Rising banner where it was transforming purple Trunks from that same movie and the base Android 13, the blue one. And then the next one was another Ultra Space Time banner, which was green base Spirit Bomb Absorb Goku versus Fusion Android 13. And then it was either this banner, and then they dropped the Namek banner, the first ever LF Namek Goku with the yellow full power Frieza. This banner was somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact order, but it might have been in between some of those banners. But this banner was right there. So it was like a post first anniversary release. Yellow transforming blue Goku into blue Kaioken Goku, which is actually a time transformation. And it was yellow Hit. And this was the first time we saw Hit introduced into the game. And obviously this was the first time we saw blue Kaioken Goku introduced into the game. And until this point, even now, this is still the only Universe 6 vs 7 tournament blue Kaioken Goku in the game. The only other blue Kaioken Goku that exists as a standalone character is the Ultra from the Tournament of Power, which to this day, I still don't understand why this character is an Ultra. This is the second ever summonable Ultra character. This guy got walloped by Jiren in like 4 seconds. It's insane. But yeah, this character exists as a Tournament of Power Ultra from Blue Kaioken Goku. And then, of course, we have the tag Blue Kaioken Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta right here, which obviously is not a standalone Blue Kaioken Goku, but he's still in the game. But these are both Tournament of Power versions of the character. This is still the only Universe 6 vs 7 Tournament Goku that exists. So I think it could be cool to revisit this. This actually, and I've mentioned this so many times, so you guys probably know this already, but this is actually my favorite fight from Dragon Ball Super, is Blue Kaioken Goku versus Hit. I just thought the time skip was such a cool concept, and to see them bring back the Kaioken on top of like a godly transformation, the aura looks really cool. And this was really the first new piece of content we saw in Dragon Ball Super. I think it was like 39 or 38 or something of Dragon Ball Super. So they made us wait like almost 40 episodes until we saw like a super high speed, full stakes showdown between two like god level characters. So it was a long time in the making to get something like this in Super. And this was really the first time we saw anything like this. Obviously since like the Battle of Gods movie and Resurrection F. So this was a really, really cool fight in my opinion. And I actually remember seeing this. I was actually in Japan when this aired. So this is one of my favorite fights. It's my favorite fight in Super easily. So it'd be pretty cool, I think, if they did this. Now, would this be the most exciting thing of all time for a lot of players? Probably not. It's not a fusion. It's not, like a UI Goku. It's not a Beast Gohan. It's not like the most exciting thing ever for a lot of players, but given the lack of representation for this, I think Blue Kaioken is a pretty cool form. And given what they've done with the only premium hit we've ever gotten in this game, which is Ultra Hit, they could do some cool stuff here, right? People definitely aren't liking the like kind of double UI Goku teams running around, even just single UI Goku, right? The Ultra UI Goku with his platinum equipment. People just do not enjoy fighting this character, me included. If you guys haven't noticed this, let me actually pull this up here. If I just do Ultra. Every single time they've released a UI Goku, they have been countered pretty fast. The purple UI Sign Goku got pretty quickly countered by Yellow Gogeta Blue, who was the next release. Red UI Goku had a little bit longer to thrive, but he dropped May of 2022. Yeah, 2022. And then Beast Gohan dropped in September. So this guy got just utterly obliterated. This is really the only one that didn't really get like super mega hard countered, this green reviving UI Goku, but you could argue that Ultra Rose was a pretty big issue for this character because Ultra Rose could just sit in the back and chuck blue cards at this character and you wouldn't really be able to do anything. Blue UI Goku got destroyed by Full Power Frieza, and then when this guy initially dropped back in 2023, he got destroyed by Super 17 and basically said, you can't play this unit anymore. Super 17 just said, nope, no more UI Gokus. So we see a pretty consistent trend here where UI Goku characters, when they come out, they get pretty hard countered fast. And I think that's by design because they know that this auto dodging mechanic is not very fun to fight against. they want to make people kind of annoyed by this mechanic, and then what's the best way to solve the problem? Well, they just sell you the solution later with a character that counters this unit. So they made this guy really strong. Wouldn't be surprised if in part 2 there is some unit, whether it's going to be hit or something, that has a way of dealing with the kind of annoying UI Goku auto counters, auto dodging. Like, that's something that I think a hit character could do pretty well. So some kind of like gauge that almost acts as like a time skip. Maybe he has a green card where like the opponent can't use their gauge for like a second or something. I don't know. But I think they could come up with some interesting thing here with it, whether it's a hit or a blue Kaioken Goku that can kind of allow them to bypass some of the annoying UI Goku mechanics. But this could be an interesting part 2. We'll see. So that is the first guess, educated guess, prediction that I have, which I think probably is likely just based off of the Universe Rep stuff that we've seen recently. The next one is going back to something that I've talked about for a long time, and I'm actually really surprised they have not done this yet, but it is actually going to be Daima related. And I would say there's 2 options here. The first option for Daima would be a mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Goma, and then the second option would be a mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku and mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Now, I think the mini Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Vegeta, or Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Goku probably is a little bit more likely just because Saiyans, and I feel like Goma probably could work as like a standalone release in January if they want to make an after party character. Honestly, the same thing could be said for Super Saiyan 3 Mini Vegeta as well, but really either combination I think works. But if they're going to drop Daima, then they would have to do a mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think. It just makes too much sense, right? Because that's the only like huge gigantic character from Daima that they haven't really put in yet. Goma, I think, you know, Goma has his fans. I actually do like Goma a lot, but Goma is not a very popular villain, unfortunately. And mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I think, is popular, but the problem with him is because they did not capitalize on him like right away, they just dropped the adult version. And so a lot of the hype that went towards, oh, dude, Vegeta finally got Super Saiyan 3 officially, a lot of that hype kind of got siphoned out of the mini version, and it's just kind of with the adult version. So it wouldn't be like super mega groundbreaking if they dropped mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta because the adult version already exists. And you can kind of make the same argument for Goku, but they didn't really have a great chance to drop mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku because mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku happens, and then the next episode he's the adult Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Right? So they didn't really have a ton of time to do that, but they kind of missed the boat, I think, with mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. So it really is, I think, Super Saiyan 4 Mini Goku that is where they should be focusing on. So no matter what the combination would be for Daima, I think he would have to be included. But I actually would really like Goma in this game. Goma would be pretty cool. They wouldn't be able to do the giant version of Goma unless they just tied it into his LF, right? Something that like Grade 8 Baby or Grade 8 Vegeta from the Saiyan Saga. They could do something like that, just have the giant version of him tied to his LF animation. But obviously, when we're controlling Goma as a character, he would need to be just in this simple third eye form, kind of like the Jiren form, for lack of a better term for him. But they could definitely do that and make that work. I think that could be a really cool part 2 as well. Okay, so those are the 2 that I think are probably most likely. I think going from 2 to 3 on my list is there's a little bit of a drop off and it being less likely, but I would not be surprised at all if we ended up going back to the Buu Saga here for part 2. And there are 2 characters that I could definitely see being paired up here. The first one would be a Super Vegito and Buuhan, namely because Buuhan is probably the most disrespected character in the entire game. We have had 2 unique models and animations for this character in almost 8 years. The first one was the first anniversary character, who, by the way, still is not Zenkai Awakened. This green Buuhan. They released a free-to-play purple Buuhan, who's a copy and paste of the green one. And then the next character we got was the post 4th anniversary red Buuhan, who was a Legends All-Star banner character, who was like fine. He wasn't anything great. He wasn't anything bad. He was just fine. That's it. So no LF Buuhan, no Ultra Buuhan, no Transforming Buuhan, no Revival Buuhan, no nothing. Buuhan just doesn't really get a lot of love in this game, considering how much Buuhan does in the series. Like, how long is the Buuhan versus Super Vegito fight? It's like, Buuhan does more moves in that fight than like Vegeta does in the first half of the series or something. Like, Buhan does so many different attacks that they could take from. So it is kind of crazy to see us almost 8 years into the game and then not really giving us more than just like the cookie cutter standard, like 2 Buhans that we've gotten. So, you know, Super Vegito always on the table. And I think it could definitely fit with part 1 as well, where, you know, they focused on Super Gogeta versus Janemba. Naturally, Super Vegito versus Buhan kind of fits as the antithesis to that. So that could be a cool way to segue into part 2. Another pairing that we could potentially see from the Buu saga, but I think this is definitely less likely, would be some kind of like Goku versus Kid Buu. But the only reason why I'm not going to officially make that a prediction that I have here is just because this is the exact character we got last year. We got Buu Saga Super Saiyan 3 Goku last year in this exact spot, and I don't think they would drop pretty much the exact same character 2 years in a row in the same position. So that's my 3rd pick. 4th pick, I think is also... Oh, that's the wrong button. 4th pick, I think, is also, like, you know, not horribly unlikely. If they did this, I would not be surprised. And the main reason why I'm even including this is because of what we saw them do with Zamasu this year. We had an LF Fusion Zamasu drop earlier in the year, and then they dropped an Ultra Zamasu the same year. So we're doing this thing now where even though a character might get an LF version in, you know, an early portion of the year, they could definitely do an Ultra version later in the year. And then I would assume that that means they could do the opposite of that. If a character gets an Ultra earlier in the year, they could do an LF version later. Yes, Corrupted Fusion Zamasu and then the non-corrupted Fusion Zamasu, technically speaking, in the way this game treats him, are 2 distinct, separate characters. But it really is the same unit in terms of like the character. I think we could potentially see a Gohan vs. Cell theme for part 2. Again, is it the most likely outcome? No, I wouldn't say so. But I would say it's at least on the table. We are certainly due for a remake of the Father-Son Kamehameha. That is a scene that we only have one of in the game with this Gohan, right? Because we take a look at all the Super Saiyan 2 Gohans from the Cell Saga that we have in the game. The purple one, which is the first one, doesn't do it. This guy does. And then we have the Ultra, who doesn't do it either. So we have one in 8 years. We have one Father-Son Kamehameha in the game. It's time. It's time. It's as much PTSD as we all have from this character. If you were playing back when you got a Zenkai Awakening, it's time. It's time for an update. So they could drop this character as like a new LF. They could do, I mean, it would be an LF Cell, but it would probably end up being, I don't know. Like, it's actually tough to think about what they could do with Cell because there's so many cells in the game now. There's Revival Perfect Form into Perfect Cell. There's just standalone LF Perfect Cell. There's standalone LF Perfect Form Cell, and there's Ultra Cell. So like, and there's transforming second form into perfect form. So there's like, there's not really much they could do that hasn't been done for Cell yet. They could definitely think of something. Maybe they could do the first ever multi-transforming character. First form Cell into second form Cell into perfect form Cell. Maybe. I don't know if they would drop a premium Legends Fest LF character who starts as second form Cell, because second form Cell just is not a very attractive, enticing form for a lot of players to summon on, even though he might transform. But it would probably... If I had to put money on it, I think they would do a remake of this guy. The first ever revival character, the reviving perfect form Cell into perfect Cell would probably be what I would expect if they did this character here. But yeah, I think this is on the table as well. And then the last pick, which to me is more of a wild card pick, probably not very likely at all, but I'm going to throw it in here anyway, because it has been a long time since we've seen this character make an appearance. And it's possible they could make an appearance as an Ultra in Part 3, but if they decide to not go with this character as Part 3, I think it's definitely possible we could end up seeing a Omega Shenron. We'll actually have here a transforming Omega Shenron, so he'd start as Sin Shenron, he transforms into Omega Shenron, versus a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Right, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, if we look at the last time we got a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I mean, we're talking 2021 was the last standalone Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Because the only other Super Saiyan 4 Goku we got was the tag Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, who's not a standalone version of this unit. So Super Saiyan 4 Goku is long overdue for a new character. Let's just say part 3 ends up being like Ultra Dragon Ball Super Broly or something, right? Then Super Saiyan 4 Goku is still waiting in the wings for an Ultra character, which even if we end up getting like a new Super Saiyan 4 Goku here, I would still assume we're going to get an Ultra version of this character next year. But I think it's possible this could happen. A LF Super Saiyan 4 Goku from the Shadow Dragon saga, which would be separate from the Ultra version, because we need one from the Shadow Dragon, because we don't have a Dragon Fist Super Saiyan 4 Goku that he does against Omega. This is the Dragon Fist he does against Ice Shenron, as this guy's LF. We don't have the full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, this character, as an LF, which is why he doesn't do the Dragon Fist in this character, this unit right here. This is a second anniversary character. So we could have a remake of this guy as an LF who does the Dragon Fist. And then we could have, I guess it would just, because we only have one Sin Shenron in the game, right? This yellow Sin Shenron. We could have this guy maybe as a revival character who revives into Omega. Like, he dies, and his revival animation is him just like eating all the Dragon Balls, and he becomes Omega. I could definitely see something like that. But yeah, that's what my 5th kind of like wild card spot is as a prediction here for part 2. So there really are a lot of different picks we could say here for part 2. Part 2 of these celebrations typically is the least predictable, unless they specifically give us hints for what these could be, which I don't think they're going to do here. But you guys can let me know what you think about the possibilities of what we could see for part 2. We should be getting, well, I don't know if they're going to do a countdown this year or not, because the countdown last year directly tied into the hint that we got for Daima. But if we don't get a countdown, we are, as of me recording this, just about 1, 2, 3, 4 days away from part 2 reveal happening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.